President Joe Biden announces his bid for re-election. This is Undiluted News. Mikey Bones reporting. President Joe Biden formally announced his bid for re-election today, setting off a battle to convince the country his record merits another 4 years in the White House and his age won't impede his ability to govern. In a video released early this morning, Biden frames next year's contest as a fight against Republican extremism, implicitly arguing he needed more time to fully realize his vow to restore the nation's character. And the launch comes 4 years to the day Biden made his 2020 bid official. That race became a mission to restore the country's character and prevent Trump from achieving a second term. Meanwhile, idiotic network Fox said it has agreed to part ways with propagandist Tucker Carlson, its popular and controversial host, less than a week after settling a lawsuit over the network's 2020 election reporting. The network said in a press release that the last program of Tucker Carlson Tonight, aired on Friday, was his last. Fox agreed last week to pay Dominion Voting System more than $787 million and acknowledged that some of its reporting following the 2020 election, which allowed another propagandist, Donald Trump, to amplify false charges of election fraud. And I also hope that they fire Bill O'Reilly as well. In Jamaica, the narcotics police is investigating a pilot from the Turks and Caicos Island following a drug bust at Kingston's Norman Manley International Airport on Sunday. The pilot was arrested reportedly after he was held in possession of 17 pounds of the good ganja. The police alleged that the pilot was preparing to fly to Turks and Caicos Island when the ganja was found in his luggage. A senior commander at the narcotics division said that the matter is now being investigated. A St. Andrew-based educator has been taken into custody in connection with the disappearance of a 13-year-old student who was reported missing last week. Head of the St. Andrew South Police, Senior Superintendent Kirk Ricketts, said that the teacher was arrested on the weekend, hours after the child was found by police. SSP Ricketts said that the child, who had been missing for several hours last week, was located by a citizen who contacted the police. He said the Center for the Investigation of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse also has an interest in the teacher in relation to another incident. So there you have it. There is a teacher here who seems to be a pedophile, is now under fire. The 3 police officers convicted of a 2012 shooting death of 16-year-old Immaculate Conception High School student Vanessa Kirkland were freed yesterday following a ruling by the Court of Appeal. Andrine Smith, Derwin Hales, and Anna K. Bailey walked free after a panel of 3 judges ruled that the trial judge made 2 fatal errors in their 2019 conviction and sentencing. In handing down the order, Justice Patrick Brooks said a number of grounds argued by defense counsel raised several issues. But the judge said he found it necessary to address the issues of credibility and propensity, which Director of Public Prosecutions Paula Llewellyn conceded. The Immaculate Conception High School student was shot and killed on March 20 on Norman Lane, Kingston 13, about 9 p.m. while a birthday party was in progress. 6 other persons were reportedly shot and injured in that incident. And according to the police, the incident began in Portmore in St. Catherine, where the robbery of a cell phone occurred, during which the victim of the robbery was allegedly assaulted. The perpetrators allegedly sped off in a blue Suzuki Swift motor car, with residents and the police giving chase. The car was allegedly spotted along Washington Boulevard, and the police apparently gave reports of a gunfight along Norman Lane. But eyewitnesses claimed that the police vehicle came in the lane shortly after the car drove in, and that shots were fired in the car before any of the occupants had a chance to get out. Citizens gave one story, the police gave a different story. A murder suspect was apprehended and a getaway vehicle seized moments after the murder of a man in Maysmere in Little London in Westmoreland on Saturday. Reports are that about 10:40 a.m., one of 2 men in a white Toyota motorcar shot and wounded a bike taxi operator on Top Road in Little London. A policeman who was in the vicinity had a shootout with the killers. The men, however, escaped in the area, and the wounded man was transported to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The deceased has been identified as 47-year-old Oswald Brown, otherwise called Scatter, of Ebenezer District in Little London in the parish. Shortly after the incident, the police received information of the whereabouts of the vehicle. A police team responded, and the suspect was immediately taken into custody, and the vehicle was seized. Over in St. James, the St. James police are investigating the circumstances surrounding the murder of an ex-convict who was shot by a lone gunman in his community on Friday morning. The deceased has been identified as Junior Edwards, also called Kochi, of Bullocks Heights, Somerton in St. James. Reports are that about 7:15 in the morning, Edwards was leaving a shop where he had purchased cigarettes when he was pounced upon and shot multiple times by a gunman who later fled the scene. He was taken to the Concord Regional Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Still in St. James, the St. James police have commenced their investigation into the circumstances surrounding the shooting death of an elderly jerk chicken vendor in Montego Bay, the parish capital, early Sunday morning. The deceased has been identified as 64-year-old David Gordon, popularly called Dave, who was of a Barnett Lane, Montego Bay address. Reports are that about 5:45 in the morning, the police were summoned by citizens who reported hearing a barrage of shots coming from the direction of Howard Coke Boulevard. Upon the arrival of the police, Gordon was seen lying face down in a pool of blood along the roadway with what appeared to be gunshot wounds to the head. The scene was processed and his body removed to the morgue. A motive for his killing has not yet been established. On to sports, Falkland FC was relegated on Sunday following a 2-0 beating by Arnett Gardens in a game played at Westport Park in St. James. Falkland, the winner of the inaugural JFF Tier 2 competition, now joined the Chapelton Maroons, whose demotion was confirmed a week earlier. First half goals from Fabian Reed and Jaheim Thomas saw off Falkland FC as Arnett Gardens returned to the top of the tables with 49 points, which is 3 more than Cavalier, who were edged 1-0 by Waterhouse. Cavaliers' loss saw them lose for the first time in 4 games, but stay ahead of defending champions Harborview, who edged Montego Bay United 1-0 thanks to a 15-minute goal from Colorado Murray. Portmore were held 1-1 by Humber Lions, while Jason Wright scored a hat-trick to lead Mullines United to a 4-3 win over Tivoli Gardens, who had a double from Rodrigo Wellington. On to basketball. Jimmy Butler scored 56 points last night, leading the Miami Heat to a 119-114 exciting win over last year's champion Milwaukee Bucks in Game 4 of the playoff and now give Miami a 3-1 lead. Early in the game, I said this was going to be a win for Milwaukee as they jump out and took a very early lead and looked like they had the game under control, leading by almost 20 points. The Heat trailed 101-89 with only 6.08 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter before outscoring the Bucks 30-13 over the rest of the game. And believe me, if you did not see the game, go back and watch the replay, as this is going down as one of the greatest basketball game ever. Anyway, if you ever missed the news on this radio station, please go to YouTube, type in Jamaican Undiluted News, listen, like, share, and subscribe to keep it going. And that's going to be news and sports on your favorite radio station. My name is Mikey Bones. I gone.